It's 2013. You're sitting on the carpet, controller in hand, and the glow of your TV lighting up the dark room. If you were like me, you'd mostly play Minecraft, especially the tutorial worlds, and that was enough. That was everything. Sometimes I wish I could go back, not to escape, just to feel that kind of peace again, before the world got louder, and back when a summer's night meant one more hour before bed, and a world of blocks somehow felt more real than anything else. Well, at least I like to think that way. I grew up playing some pretty old video games. My dad used to collect consoles from his youth, so I was lucky enough to experience games from both the 90s and the late 2000s. Of all the systems I played, the PlayStation 2 quickly became a personal favourite. There was something about those games. Maybe it was the simplicity, the creativity, or just the charm of that era that really stuck with me. Games back then felt like they had heart, even if the graphics weren't cutting edge or the mechanics were a bit clunky by today's standards. Nowadays, though, games don't seem to feel the same. Don't get me wrong, there are still some incredible modern titles out there, but a lot of what we see today feels manufactured, like it's made to hit metrics, not memories. Take Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, for example. The original 2011 version was a huge moment in gaming, and it wrapped up the original Modern Warfare trilogy in a way that felt epic and earned. But when the 2023 Modern Warfare 3 came out, it didn't hit that same spark. The campaign felt rushed and the story barely made an impact. It just didn't hit the emotional beats like the original did. It looked better, sure, but it didn't feel better. I think that's the key difference. Older games may not hold up visually, but they had soul. They left a lasting impression. Modern video games always feel more like a product than an experience. But it's not just the remakes or the big franchises. Live service and gacha games have really taken over the industry lately, especially in the mobile and free-to-play space. Companies like Hoyoverse have built massive followings with games like Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, and now Zenless Zone Zero. Don't get me wrong, these games are polished. The art is stunning, the music is amazing, and the combat systems are genuinely fun. But they're also designed to keep you coming back, because of daily logins, limited time events, and the constant pressure to pull for new characters before they disappear. And after a while, that magic starts to wear off, and you begin to wonder, am I playing for fun, or am I just chasing rewards on a schedule? It's such a contrast from the games I grew up with, where you bought the game once, and that was it. No battle passes, no premium currencies, no pity system, just you, the controller, and the world of the game. I think that's why older titles, especially from the PS2 era, feel so special. They didn't need to hook you with updates or microtransactions, they just needed to be good. I've also gravitated towards genres like Vaporwave and Slushwave in recent years. They capture that same kind of feeling, this hazy, distant echo of something once familiar, a memory you can't quite place but you know you felt it before. In case you don't know, Vaporwave is an aesthetic and music genre that emerged in the early 2010s, categorized by its nostalgic, surreal, and often satirical take on consumer culture, early internet imagery, and 1980s to 1990s pop culture. Key features include slowed down and pitch-shifted samples of 80s and 90s pop, smooth jazz, elevator music, R&B, and corporate mood music, with heavy use of reverb, echo, looping, and lo-fi distortion to create a dreamlike or decayed quality. Slushwave, on the other hand, is a subgenre of Vaporwave, known for being slower, more ambient, and more emotionally immersive than its parent style. It takes the nostalgic haze of Vaporwave and melts it into something more melancholic, dreamlike, and surreal. I find myself preferring Slushwave over traditional Vaporwave for that reason. It's like the echo that's left when Vaporwave fades out. Less ironic, more introspective. It doesn't shout, it lingers. Where Vaporwave is flipping through old TV channels at hyperspeed, Slushwave is lying awake at 3 in the morning, half asleep, remembering a dream you forgot you had. There's a video called Lost in the Pool Rooms by K1K1N? What is that, kicking? And I cannot recommend it enough. It uses some of my personal favourite artists in the slush wave genre, such as Desert Sand Feels Warm at Night and From Tokyo to Honolulu. And although not in the mix, I highly encourage you to listen to Telepath Noriokusha. But it doesn't end there. While Vaporwave may have been made to appeal to older generations, the internet in the mid to late 2000s had some of the most nostalgic music in my eyes. I'm referring to Nightcore remixes of songs you'd randomly find in your recommended. This was the golden age of AMVs, anime music videos, where every teenager would have a Windows Movie Maker project syncing an anime fight scene to In the End by Linkin Park, or where you discover a pitched up version of Dam Daddy Doo paired with blurry footage of two Pichus from Pokemon. I have experience with this video, and somehow it worked. It wasn't high production, it wasn't industry made, it was messy, emotional, and full of heart. And for a lot of us, it was the first time music felt like it truly understood us. Yeah, Vaporwave might be retro nostalgia, but this was personal nostalgia. And sure, some people thought it was cringe, the fast beats, the neon fonts, but we didn't care. And maybe that's why it stuck with me. One of my personal favourite forms of nostalgia isn't tied to games or music. It's more tied to locations. You know the kind. Childhood play parks, the local store you visited almost every day, or even your best friend's house when you spent countless afternoons. They're places frozen in time. And speaking of that feeling, I know it's been talked about a lot, but liminal spaces are another perfect example.
I hate this channel. No!
Okay. I'm not delving into the fear factor of liminal spaces, as that's been touched on so many times. I want to get into the comfort factor. For example, here's a picture of a soft play area. I've always found comfort in these pictures, never a sense of anxiety, just a really cool hangout spot or a great birthday party with a bunch of friends. Or take this totally empty mall. A couple of people would be terrified at the thought that there would be something in there, or that you're totally alone in a mall. I would find it really comforting and just walk around aimlessly for several hours. Maybe it is just a me thing. Places like this seem to go hand in hand with a kind of horror that has been thriving on the internet in recent years. Mascot horror. Iconic examples of mascot horror include Five Nights at Freddy's, Bendy and the Ink Machine, and Garten of Pun Pun. Think about the subject matters in mascot horror. An empty pizza place at night. Or an old kids' TV show that hasn't aired in decades. Because they're not supposed to be there anymore. And neither are you. I just went on a tangent, didn't I? Okay. Well, it's about time I tell you why I made this video. That is me. As a baby. I found a picture of me as a baby. Marcus Aurelius once said that time is like a river. And when you think about it, he's right. Time isn't constant. It slows down at some points and speeds up in others. That picture of me as a kid made me think, you don't have long on this planet. A day as a kid felt like it takes forever. But now as a day goes by when you're older, they go by faster and faster. 1 minute, you're 19 years old, and the next minute you're 30. Our childhood wasn't perfect, but it was ours. A weird in-between era, not quite offline, not quite online. We were the last to grow up without phones, and the first to grow up inside the internet. Now that we're older, those memories hit harder than ever. But the best thing we can do is remember the good times. Well, that's the end of this video. All in all, this video took me about an entire month or so to make. If you want to see more content like this, feel free to tell me about it in the comments. It's what they're there for. If you are feeling extra generous, then feel free to subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. Anyways, I'll say this again, thank you so much for watching this video, and hopefully we cross paths again.